Hey guys, it's me again, and I'm here with another What If video. Today, Superman came out, and because sorry, I can't keep my words straight sometimes, but because it's now out, I had the perfect video to celebrate its release with a What If Superman video. That, of course, being what if Superman was in Green Lantern the animated series? I feel like Superman and this appearing in the show could have been possible when I think about it. Like, Metropolis was said to exist in the show's universe, so this could have been the perfect setup for Superman. But obviously, because the show was cancelled, Superman couldn't appear. So, when the show would this episode have been made? Anywhere between season 1. I don't care. Could happen after season 1. It could be placed anywhere, but for the sake of my story, it's going to be after season 1. Aya wouldn't be found yet. Now, apparently, who could have played Superman is the question. Rather than bringing George Newbern back, because I seriously don't believe Green Lantern the animated series is a part of the DCAU, because their shows were 2D. That show is 3D, so yeah, I don't think so. So rather than George Newbern, he would be played by Roger Craig Smith, just so the alternate reality can make sense, or the different universe. The multiverse will not be involved. Now, this Superman is pretty established at this point. He's fought different villains. I'm not going to bring up which ones, but if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments down below. We will not see his origin story. No. Nuh-uh. Because we all know who Superman is. We don't need to see his origin story again and again and again. Instead, I'd rather save it for like his own show. Now, would Perry White appear? Yeah, him, Lois Lane, and Jimmy Olsen would appear in this episode. Great Ally would play Lois Lane. Max Middleman or Robbie Damon would be Jimmy Olsen. Perry White, I would say John Goodman. What about Martha Kent? She would make a few appearances here and there. I would have maybe Sally Field or Rosemary Harris play Martha. Now about Jonathan Kent. Jonathan wouldn't appear at all, but he would be mentioned. Now, would Supergirl appear? No. She would kind of fill in a Razor role where it starts off like this: Clark, Lois, and Jimmy. But then when Kara comes around, it's four of them, you know. So after the events of the season 1 finale, Hal, Kilowog, and Razor would come to Earth, where they're trying to find, Aya, who is rumored to have landed in Metropolis. I'm aware she may not have landed on Earth, but let's just say she was found by astronauts somehow. And they see a man wearing a blue suit and a red cape fighting a robot with kryptonite and is having a hard time. That, of course, would be Superman fighting Metallo. For who I would have play Metallo would be James Spader, who I could actually see. That is perfect casting. Now, they would stop Metallo and Superman would introduce himself to Green Lantern. They would introduce themselves to each other. And of course, Hal would not be wearing the lantern ring when meeting, Lois and Jimmy, but they would have known who Green Lantern is. Razor and Kilowog will also wear human disguises. Now to the villain of the story, Lex Luthor. I do think he would have met Atrocitus. Now, for Lex Luthor, I'm going to go with... I could bring Clancy Brown back, but I don't think he's Lex Luthor without George Newbern as Superman. So, I'm going to go with someone like Keith Silverstein for this new not Superman, Lex Luthor. And essentially, he would tell Atrocitus about the kryptonite. And so, Atrocitus would take a look at the kryptonite, and Lex would even tell him about Superman, his archenemy, and all the villains Superman has defeated over the years. Villains like Parasite would be mentioned, as well as Livewire and Lena Luthor. Speaking of Lena, she and Mercy would appear. I'm not too sure who I cast them, but Lena, I'm gonna say maybe Tara Strong. Or maybe Selah Victor, because I don't know. I think you could, the way I'm kind of picturing Lena in this universe is kind of like Chloe from Miraculous Ladybug, except she has a more nastier side, to put it lightly. Or she's Chloe, but if she and Zoe were raised by their father their whole lives. Something like that. But as for Mercy, I would... Not too sure who I would have play Mercy. Maybe someone like Jennifer Hale, perhaps? But Lex would agree to work with Atrocitus. And it would be revealed that Lex has his hands on Aya. Now, there would be a fight between Superman and Atrocitus. And of course, Green Lantern would help Superman fight Atrocitus because he has fought Atrocitus in the past. But when it's revealed that Lex Luthor has Aya, Razor would try to go after Aya and fight Lex, but it turns out to be a trap because Razor would be captured by Lex, Lena, and Mercy. And of course, they decide to take his Red Lantern ring, and they begin to experiment with the ring to see how could a lantern's power be affected with kryptonite. Superman, Kilowog, and Hal would discuss plans to save Razor, but they have to get through a few villains like Bloodsport, who I could see being played by Sterling K. Brown, and Parasite, who would be played by Thomas Hayden Church, who would be like Lex's bodyguards. In the end, they would stop them, and then the final battle would emerge, with Lex wearing a powered armor suit like in the comics, and he and Superman would fight, and he would be trying to use all the kryptonite he could to stop Superman, slow him down. But in the end, the villains would be stopped. However, Atrocitus would escape, and Aya would be saved, and the people of Metropolis would hail Green Lantern as a hero. At the end, Aya, Razor, and Kilowog decide to leave along with Hal. But Clark tells Hal that they can always meet each other again in the future, and so this would possibly set up another crossover episode, but with some of the history I established, I am leaving the possibility of a Superman show, like a part 2, to happen. But then there's the question, could they have done a Superman show set within the same universe as Green Lantern, the animated series? Yes, they very well could have done that. They very well could have. This episode could have been like the way to do it. Like, giving Warner Brothers and DC to pit greenlight another show set within that universe to maybe do a 2010's DC animated universe. But that's likely going to be covered in part 2, where I discuss what if he had his own show set within that universe. But again, I am planning on doing more of these videos where what if this DC hero was in Green Lantern, the animated series. The next one I'm thinking about is Batman. What if Batman was in Green Lantern, the animated series? I'm thinking about either having this be a new version of Batman, or maybe the one from Beware the Batman. If I go the latter, it will probably be like, what if Beware the Batman and Green Lantern, the animated series, had a crossover? Or what if they were in the same universe? I don't know. I don't know yet. But I am going to say I might do a what if the Justice League were in Green Lantern, the animated series video. I might do that. I might be building up to this. Kind of like with the Avengers when the MCU was starting, and the Justice League when the DCU began. So I might do the same thing here. But I will make those videos if you guys like this video. So, that's it for today's video. And I cannot wait to see Superman soon. Well, the new Superman movie. But I can't wait to see it soon. Anyways, bye.